people, my name is Caroline. Welcome back to the gray area. Today we are doing something really exciting. I am adding a new series onto my channel, like a true crime and makeup, get ready with me type deal. I tell you a true crime story while I'm doing my makeup. I was heavily inspired by Bailey Sarian. She is amazing. She's beautiful and super talented with makeup. Her looks are incredibly intricate, but she does it like it's absolutely nothing while telling you a super gruesome true crime story in like a high school gossip type way. It's really hilarious, but also super serious at the same time, and she's a good storyteller, and I really love true crime. If you know me in my personal life, I love true crime. I think it would be interesting just to see if I'm any good at it. We're gonna go ahead and get into the look and also get into the story. Okay, our story begins in Truecrime, Florida. I'm going to give you the family tree just so we can keep all the names straight because this is a family. There's a lot of names. Beautiful. The mother is Margaret Amato and the father is Chad Amato. The first brother, the oldest brother, is Jason Amato. He was Margaret's from a previous marriage. Chad Amato adopted him when he was 3 years old. So he's his father. Middle child's name is Cody, and then you have the baby, which is Grant. So growing up, they had money. They were pretty well off. They had a pretty big house. It said that they actually built the house when they moved to Truecrime. They actually built the house when Jason was like around 3 to 5. I can't really remember, sorry. But they built the house and then lived there all through the boys' childhood. So it is a beautiful big house, and they had, you know, nice cars, and they had nice stuff, and they had tons of like electronics. I heard there was like four to six PlayStations and like gaming consoles in the house, and they were very tech savvy. They all liked to build computers from scratch, and it was said that the dad and the boys, that was something that they did to bond together, was build computers from scratch, be tech savvy together. It was a very loving family. Everybody loved each other, and it was said that, you know, the father was very meticulous and very stern, but that there was no abuse in the house. It was just, you know, your occasional spanking. He was strict, and he had rules, and if you didn't follow them, then, you know, you weren't allowed to stay in his house anymore. My dad was like that. So Jason, the oldest brother, he moved out of the house when he was going to college, just the normal time when he left the nest. And at that point, the two younger brothers, Cody and Grant, grew pretty close. Again, they were doing a lot of computer stuff together. They actually took a trip together to Japan. When Jason left, they really got very close. Grant was always the black sheep of the family, so he was always kind of the quiet, awkward one, and, you know, just the one that was standoffish and not center of attention, really, I guess you could say. He was more quiet, guy in the corner, you know, weirdo. This guy is a weirdo. 2011, Grant got his nursing degree. Everybody in the family was in the medical field pretty much. I believe the father was a pharmacist, the mother was some kind of tech in the medical field, and his brother actually was in the same field that he was going for nursing, and was working at a hospital at this time, I believe. So in 2018, Grant is about 29 at this point, and he is fired from his job at the hospital for stealing drugs. He was stealing sedatives. Like, he had a bunch of it on him. Yeah, no one really knows why he was taking those from his job. He said that it was because he was giving them to his patients who he believed wasn't getting the proper sedative amount, I guess. I'm not sure. We all know that's not why he was stealing drugs. I mean, this guy's obviously not got it all together. Grant was caught and arrested and admitted to stealing the drugs, and like I said, he said that they were for his patients and that it was not for himself. They actually charged him with grand theft, and the charges were actually dropped because they had no proof of his intentions with the drugs, and that would have just been a lot of money out of the hospital's pocket to forego at that, because that could be trouble on their end if they were, I guess, allowing that to happen on their watch. So at this time, everybody still lives at the family home except for Jason, which we discussed. He moved out for college, and then he went along to have his own family and start his life aside from the rest of the family. But people in the house, Margaret, Chad, that is mother and father, and then you have Cody and Grant. Those are the two brothers. Just keeping everybody caught up, because I'm getting confused now. Jeez. Arguments would often ensue between Chad and Cody and Grant. It was brought up that Grant needed to basically better his life. I mean, he's like 30 years old and like a piece of shit bum right now. So, hello, get a job and, you know, try to get off your mom's couch and live your life. Whenever it was brought up, you know, why haven't you got a job? Why are you doing nothing all day? It would cause family drama. It would cause huge fights and arguments, and, you know, no one likes that. So that would be just, that's what's going on with this family right now. It's just a mess. It's a mess. Also at this time, like, the parents are anything that, you know, Grant needs right now. He has no job. So clearly and obviously the parents are paying for everything. Other times Cody would step in and actually pay for his brother's living expenses and, you know, whatever he needs to survive, really, he was paying for it. So the family was like footing the bill for Grant, 30-year-old. What is going on? Grant's sitting at home. He's bored. He's jobless. What does he do? He gets on a camgirl website. He tries to find, you know, some kind of companionship, I guess, there. Goes on to myfreecam.com. And this is where he meets Sylvie from Bulgaria. Now, when he met Sylvie, she was a cam girl, and if you don't know what a cam girl is, Google it. He was like obsessed with her. He was fixated on her, and he spent a lot of his time just watching her and paying her and giving her all his money to watch her do what cam girls do. He fabricated this whole life to her, that he was some famous popular gamer. I think he said he was like popular on Twitch, maybe. He just said that he had all this money and that he was this pretty cool guy, apparently. Super cool dude. I just realized I did not prime my face. Crap. So you're probably asking yourself the same exact question I asked myself, which is, how is this guy who is broke and jobless, living on mommy and daddy's couch, paying for camgirl sites? Well, my friends, this is where the story takes a turn. Grant had been stealing his parents' money. Credit cards, he was also getting money from Cody, and all the while he was telling them at first that it was for his Twitch. It was for his gaming experience, to advertise himself and get himself out there. No, it wasn't. Liar. It was for the cam girl. And so after time, of course, that wasn't enough for him, so he started stealing credit cards. He would get into their bank account, he would get into their information, and just transfer money, take money. It was insane. So I'm going to break this down for you the best that I can. Sylvie charged 90 tokens per minute. Grant was purchasing 5,000 tokens at a time. That is like roughly $600 per night with her, I guess. That's like an hour and 56 minutes for $600. What? What? I don't know. That's crazy. With the amount of time that Grant was spending online, he was spending upwards of $25,000 a day. $25,000 a day. That is insane. Insane. So at this point, with immediate family, they're at $150,000 in debt. With all the family combined, including all the extra family, it's up to like $250,000 that Grant has put his family in debt by stealing money to pay this cam girl just to watch her like a creepo. I don't understand it. Once confronted about all the stolen money, they basically gave him an ultimatum. The family was like, listen, bro, you either go to this treatment center or you're going to get kicked out and cut off from the family because, I mean, this is intense. This is a lot of money. So they gave him the ultimatum to go to a treatment center. Now, from there, he says that he was forced to go. And that they gave him like no other option, which truly they didn't. But he was making it sound like he was forced to go, like they dragged him there. When in real life, that's not what happened. He willingly went, and the family actually paid $15,000. I told you they were well off. So they paid $15,000 for Grant to go spend 60 days in this treatment center. It was like an addiction treatment center, rehab. And so he gets there and he's out in like 14 days. Okay. He basically was fine. They said that there was nothing else they could do and that he was totally fine. He was great. He was doing great. He came back home. And when he came back home, his father had written out this lovely, super meticulous, super detailed pros and cons to every single thing that he could choose, like list, like this document that he handwritten, basically saying, you know, here's your options. You either get a job or you move out or you join the military. But you're not going to sit in my house and eat up all my Wi-Fi and send all of my money to this girl in Bulgaria. Like, it's not gonna freaking happen anymore, bud. The party's over. The party is over. Grant did not like that one bit, because also in the contract, we'll call it a contract, the father stated that he could not be in contact with Sylvie anymore, and actually even at that point told them that, surprise, we called Sylvie and told her your whole shenanigans and spilled the beans on you there, bud. So she knows everything. Cat's out of the bag. She knows you're a bum. I mean, clearly that was a blow to his pride, his ego. That was embarrassing. There's nothing more dangerous than a humiliated man. Like, absolutely. So, remember that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here's when things get a little crazy. On January 24th, Chad finds out that Grant has been talking to Sylvie still, and he gets extremely upset about that, as one would, and confronts him and tells him, that's it, you've broken the rules and I want you out of my house. Get out. You're done here. Sorry, bud. You broke the rules. So Grant says that after that is said to him, he packed a bag, got some stuff together, and left the house. And before he left, he said that his brother Cody pulled him aside and told him that he would handle things for him. Interesting. Now, after that argument happened, Chad goes to work, and I guess everybody went to work, you know, the day carried on. And at 9:15 that night, Cody gets off work early, which is really unlike him. He's a super punctual, if not early person. He's very early. And it was just very weird to his colleagues and coworkers that he was leaving early, and it was weird. And he texts his girlfriend saying that he has to go home to deal with family shit. So, we know what that means. Friday, January 25th, 2019, Cody's coworker calls into the local sheriff's department for a wellness check on Cody because he didn't show up for work that morning, and that was extremely unlike Cody. And so they were really worried about him, and they decided to send police over to his family home to make sure that he was okay. He wasn't answering any of his phone calls, his pages. It was just radio silent. So they got very concerned, and they sent help over. So body cam footage shows the police officers arriving on scene, and the first cop tries to look around. Everything's locked up, and he requests backup for police safety, and he doesn't know what's going on in there. So he waits for backup before he enters the house, and then body cam shows him use a knife to jimmy the deadbolt of the back door, which was the door into the master bathroom, which is so crazy. Who just has a door in their master bathroom going out to their backyard? I've never seen that before. So there was like a big dresser type deal in front of the door, which I'm assuming they never used the door, or it was put there suspiciously. So the cops have to move that to get into the house. And once they gain entry into the house, they clear the house. They start going room to room trying to find Cody because they're there for, Cody. The wellness check was to make sure he was okay. And so they're trying to find Cody and anybody that's there. And that is when they come across 3 dead bodies. It's not something you want to, run into in a wellness check. But he finds Margaret, he finds Chad, and he finds Cody. All 3 have been shot at the time. At first, the cop thought when they first saw Chad on the ground that it was a self-inflicted gunshot, but he quickly corrected himself on the radio and said, I don't really know what I have here, so I'm not gonna, say it's self-inflicted. And it's a good thing that he recanted that because he realized, okay, my training's kicking in. I don't know what I have here. Clearing the rest of the house, they find Margaret. Margaret was shot from behind, and she was slumped over her computer desk in her home office. And then they found Cody in the kind of entryway of the garage. He was also shot. So it was terrible. That's awful. Grant was not there. But the police knew that he lived there. I believe they were called out there previously for something else, so they knew that the other brother did live at this house, and they found it a little suspect that he wasn't there. So they tried to call him and get in touch with him, and they could not get in touch with him. Now, his phone had been cut off by his father. He says that in the interrogation. So he had no phone, but he was connecting to Wi-Fi in different places. And of course, they pinged those all over the place. Next day, he was located at a DoubleTree hotel in Orange County, Florida. Weird. And he was there by himself. And when the cops show up, they have nothing on him, really. They're just trying to figure out if he's okay and also if he knows anything about what was going on. And when they get there, he has got his hands behind his back, ready to be arrested. Like, hello, guilty. So they take him in for questioning, and it is a very long questioning process. I think they had him in there for like 7 or 8 hours questioning him. It was pretty crazy listening to his story of what he did apparently that night, but just a lot of running around and not really knowing where he was going apparently. He did a lot of aimless driving, he said, which sure you did. Now, the weird thing is that, the super weird thing is that not one time during that entire 7 to 8 hour interrogation process did Grant ever ask, why am I here? What's going on? Where's my family? I don't know. Just, simple questions that you might start asking yourself when they're asking you the questions they were asking him. It was just like, if you're not guilty of anything and you really don't know what's going on, those would be your first questions. Not going into such a detailed response of where you were, and like, I mean, it wasn't detailed at all. It's so vague sometimes, but you know what I mean. That would be your first question, your curiosity, like, why am I here? Why did they pick me up? What is going on? By this point in the interrogation, the curtain has been pulled back. The charade is over. There's no more sweet, can we get you a bottle of water? Do you need anything? It is very much more like, we don't ask questions that we don't know the answer to anymore. Where were you? You know, what is going on? You look like there's something that you want to say to us. It's right at the tip of your tongue. You want to tell us. And he kept saying, you know, I can tell you guys want me to say something, but I didn't do anything. That's all he kept repeating is, I can tell you want me to say something, but I don't have anything to say. Really? Okay. So at this point, he has asked no one, why am I here? What is going on? Hello, why have you brought me in? Why are you asking me about my family? None of those questions were asked. He literally went straight into, okay, I went here, then I went here. I don't know what time it was. Maybe it was this time. It just all didn't really make sense. Then they go to show him the crime scene photos. And when they do this, he does get a bit upset. And he does say, though, that, you know, I've been blamed for everything that goes wrong in my family. I might as well be blamed for this. But at the same time, he's saying he's innocent and that he has nothing to do with this, and that, you know, that he's innocent, that he was not there, and that when he left, everything was fine. He was trying to imply that his brother could have possibly done this, because he was saying things like, when I left, you know, Cody said he was going to handle things. What does that mean? So he was just kind of setting it up for that kind of tone, basically, that his brother did this, basically. So Grant was released on the 26th just due to a lack of, you know, proof, really, lack of evidence on him. Sound familiar? Like his last little run-in with the police? They just didn't have enough evidence on him. I mean, it makes sense that it was him, but, you know, they had to go on cold hard facts and evidence, and they didn't have enough, so they released him on the 26th. Shortly after, Grant was arrested for 3 counts of premeditated murder, and when they got him, he was found with gloves on him and a bunch of family stolen credit cards. So the trial was in July of 2019, and he's still claiming innocence here. Forensics show that Margaret was shot in the back of the head, sitting at her desk, and that she died from that, clearly. And that it was done at 4:44 p.m. because that was her last activity on her computer, so they just kind of figured that's when all of this began that night. Chad gets home and was shot in the back of the head around 5:30 p.m. And he had one of those trackers that tracked his steps, and it basically stopped. So that's how they knew where he was. Cody got home around 10 p.m. and then he walked in through the garage and was shot by Grant. What a lovely brother, right? It was even said that the bodies were moved around and staged. He had time between killings to like move them around the way he wanted them to be found, I guess. And no murder weapon was found at the scene, or at all, I think. Now this also was a gun family. They had tons of guns, and the shells that were found at the scene did not match any of the guns that they had in the house. It was also found through their investigation that that very night after he killed his entire freaking family, this dude jumps in his car with stolen credit cards from his parents and his brother who he just murdered. You know what he does? He just drives down to the local Publix, sits in their parking lot at 3 a.m. and sends Sylvie over $600 to watch her. Because that's exactly what he wanted to do after he murdered his whole family. Now, the jury deliberated for about 8 hours, and then they came back and decided they did not want to give him the death penalty, but they did sentence him to life in prison without parole, which, thank God. He still, to this day, claims his innocence. He's trying to figure out ways to get out of prison, which that's not gonna happen, Grant. You fucked up. So, I'm happy that he got life in prison without parole, because he needs to sit there and think about what he did, you know? I literally think that when I read this case and I read what happened to this poor family, I literally thought, like, this was the biggest temper tantrum that a grown 30-year-old man could make. Like, oh, I can't steal your money, and I can't pay for webcam girls with your money, or I'm kicked out. Well, guess I'm gonna have to murder you guys, because that just doesn't work out for me. So he did, which was horrible. But yeah, he's in jail. And I hope you guys like this video. That's the end of my story, the end of Grant Amato's story, the Amato family. I feel terrible. This was a horrible story, but it was really captivating. Like, I was very intrigued when I saw Bailey's video. I was like, I got to watch this. So I literally watched all of the interrogation. I watched all of the court proceedings, all the witnesses. I read court documents. It's very fascinating stuff. But if you guys like true crime and you like makeup, then just hit the subscribe button, because I am starting a new series on this channel where that is what we will be doing. And if you have any crime or, you know, crazy stories that you guys want me to talk about, or maybe somebody that I don't know about that I could do some research about, please comment that below, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!